To most people, a dog in a store is just a pet. But for over 60 million Americans living with disabilities, that dog is much more. It is a lifeline. It is legally recognized medical equipment, as essential as a wheelchair or an insulin pump. However, as business owners and employees, we often find ourselves in a difficult position. We want to be inclusive and follow the law, but we also have to deal with fake service dogs, unruly pets, and a massive amount of misinformation about what we can and cannot do. Today, we are going to clear up the confusion. We are going to dive into the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, to understand exactly what the law requires of us and, just as importantly, what it doesn't. We're going to cover the power of two questions: how to legally identify a service animal without violating privacy, the ID myth, why those colorful certificates people buy online actually have zero legal standing, Colorado state law, how our local laws specifically crack down on fake service animals, your right to say no, the specific behavioral triggers that give you the legal authority to remove a dog, even a real service dog, to protect your business. By the end of this session, you won't just know how to avoid a lawsuit, you'll know how to protect the safety of your staff, the sanitation of your store, and the rights of legitimate service dog teams who rely on us to keep public spaces safe and accessible. Let's get started with the basics. What exactly is a service animal under federal law? What exactly is a service animal under federal law? According to the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, a service animal is defined as a dog or, in some specific cases, a miniature horse that is individually trained to do work or perform tasks for the benefit of a person with a disability. Animals whose sole function is to provide comfort, companionship, or emotional support do not qualify as service animals because they are not trained to perform specific tasks. Because we cannot rely on vests or papers to tell who is legitimate, the law gives us two specific questions we can ask to protect our business. Under the ADA, when it is not obvious what service an animal provides, staff may ask, is the dog a service animal required because of a disability? What work or task has the dog been trained to perform? To stay compliant and avoid a discrimination lawsuit, employees must follow these don'ts. Don't ask about the person's disability. Don't ask for the dog to perform the task on the spot. Don't ask for documentation. Requiring papers or IDs is an ADA violation. Under the ADA, a task is more than just being there. It is a trained, reliable response to a cue or an environmental trigger. He alerts me to seizures. She reminds me to take medication. Or she retrieves dropped items. If the answer describes comfort rather than a trained action, the dog is an ESA and can be denied entry. He makes me feel safe. He's for emotional support, or he helps with my depression just by being here. Next, we will cover the ID myth and why those colorful certificates people buy online actually have zero legal standing. Those colorful online service dog certificates have zero legal standing because there is no official federal registry for service dogs in the U.S. Under the ADA, a service dog's legitimacy is based strictly on its training and its ability to perform specific tasks to assist someone with a disability, not on paperwork. These websites sell documentation sight unseen for a fee, often without ever verifying if the dog is trained or if the owner has a disability. These documents lead business owners to believe they must see an ID, which can result in the illegal harassment or exclusion of real service dog teams who don't carry such papers. When untrained pets with fake official vests or IDs behave poorly in public, barking, lunging, or having accidents, it makes it harder for legitimate service dog teams to be taken seriously. A dog becomes a service animal through individualized task training, which usually takes hundreds of hours. A purchase certificate does not prove this training ever happened. Instead of looking at paperwork, businesses should focus on the dog's behavior and ask the 2 allowed questions to verify a service animal's role. This law was enacted to protect the rights of legitimate service dog teams and to prevent the safety risks posed by untrained pets in public spaces. Unlike federal law, which only protects fully trained service animals, Colorado Revised Statute 24-34-803 grants service animals in training and their trainers the same public access rights as fully trained service teams. Under this new law, knowingly misrepresenting a pet as a service animal or a service animal in training is a petty offense. To be charged, the individual must have received a previous verbal or written warning that such misrepresentation is illegal. The specific behavioral triggers that give you the legal authority to remove a dog, even a real service dog, to protect your business. As a business, your rights and obligations regarding animals depend entirely on whether the animal is a service animal, an emotional support animal, or a therapy animal. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, these are not the same. Service animals are dogs or miniature horses, individually trained to perform specific tasks for a person with a disability. You must allow them in all areas where the public is generally permitted. If a dog's task is not obvious, you may only ask, 1. Is the dog a service animal required because of a disability? 2. What work or task has the dog been trained to perform? You cannot ask about the person's disability, require medical documentation, demand a special ID or vest, or ask for a task demonstration. As a business, you can legally remove a service animal or a pet if the animal is not housebroken, the animal is out of control, or the animal poses a direct threat to health or safety. Under the ADA, businesses are not required to allow ESAs and/or therapy pets onto their premises. They do not have the public access protections that service dogs do because they are not trained to perform specific tasks. A doctor's letter for an emotional support animal does not grant it the same legal status as a service animal in a business setting. If you must remove an animal, create a detailed note or video recording of the specific behavior that prompted the exclusion. This serves as your primary defense if a formal complaint is filed. Be sure to treat all handlers equally and be able to recite the 2 legal questions without hesitation. Every dog, every time. To wrap things up, managing service animals in a business setting isn't about being dog police. It's about compliance, safety, and respect. By following the ADA's 2 questions and enforcing behavioral standards, you aren't just following the law. You are protecting your business from liability and ensuring your store remains a safe environment for everyone. Remember these 3 takeaways when dealing with pets and service dog teams in your store. A vest or a certificate doesn't make a service dog. Training and behavior do. If a dog is unruly or not housebroken, you have the legal right to ask it to leave, regardless of its status. Use the 2 allowed questions every time. This protects you from discrimination claims and helps filter out pets and ESAs. When you stop fake service dogs from entering, you are directly helping legitimate service dog teams. Real working dogs need a focused, distraction-free environment to do their life-saving work. Thank you for your time and for helping us keep this business accessible, safe, and professional.